Hello everyone, here's Hussam with you from Giuliani Associates Architects, and today we're gonna continue work on the 3D architecture visualization. Last lecture we talked about the basic function part 2, and we start with the sub-object mood in 3D objects and shapes. And today we're going to continue transform centers, statistic, and viewport, and modifiers and transformers. So this is what we're gonna go through today, and let's start with the first part of it. So let's go and look at 3D Studio Max software, and let's start with the top view in here, and let's create a couple of 3D objects like sphere, box, and cylinder over here. And we'll go to the perspective view by clicking on the top left menu, and we select perspective, or we just press P from the keyboard. So now we have the perspective view. Let's zoom in a little bit. Now we are in the wireframe mode. Let's turn it to face mode so we can see the object. So the first thing we want to talk about it, if we select all of these objects and we want to rotate them or move them, so if we select rotate and then we rotate them on a z-axis like this, you will notice that the 3 objects were rotated based on the center of the 3 object selection together, like that. So what if I want to rotate each one of those based on its pivot point, or based on the center of each one of those objects? So to do this, you can go all the way up in the menu and press on this, and now press on the second, or the first selection I mean, and now you'll notice if you rotate them, 3 of them were rotated based on its center line. Okay, as you can see like that. So this transform and coordinate option, it allows us to select where we want to pick the rotation point. So the first option is let us control and rotate each object based on its center point like this. But the second option, it will allow us to rotate the whole selection based on the center of the selection itself, like that. So it's very important to make the workflow work fast, and because imagine that if you have like many objects like this in the scene, and you want to like rotate people based on their group or their own center point, that will give you a hard time to do each time. So this option allow us to do this very fast and accurate. So the third option, which is a very important one, if I select it, you notice that the center of the rotation went to the 0, 0, 0 point, and now you can rotate the 3 objects based on the word or the view center, which is the 0, 0, 0 in here. Okay, so let's try something else to see how we can get benefit from that. If I have a base like this, let me move it from the center like that, and then I'll go to the top view and create another small cylinder, and we imagine this is like a column, and we press P shortcut to go to perspective mode. I just want to make this cylinder a little bit taller, so we go with the height like that. So imagine that you want to rotate and copy this column around this base. Okay, so the coordinate and transform option, it will allow us to do this. So if I select the third option, and then rather than the view, I will go ahead and will select pick. If I pick the cylinder, the base of the cylinder like that, now if I go to this option, this is going to be the center. So if I select the column and I rotate it, see, I have to go all the way down, and then I will hit cylinder, and as you notice, that will allow us to rotate the column based on sorry about that, based on the picked object center like that. And that it allow us, if I hit shift and I hold shift and I rotate like this and then I lift it, it will show me this option, which is basically make me select how many copies I want. Let's say I want a 10 copy and I hit OK. As you notice, that will allow me to copy that column based on the center of the base, which will save me a lot of time if I want to do this manually, or if I want to move the pivot point from object to object. So it makes sense to use this method and, you know, make it easy for me to copy whatever object I had and move it around another object. So this is really very helpful option to use the transform and coordinate options from here, and it's really allow us to, you know, if I have like, again, if I have a bunch of boxes or objects and I want to rotate them based on their selection center, I will select the second option, and then if I rotate them, as you notice, they will rotate based on that. If I go ahead and select the first option, it allow me to rotate each one based on its center again. And the last part, if I had select the cylinder, all of these objects will rotate based on the cylinder or the base center like that. If I want to move it to the center of the view or the word, I just have to go here and then select the view, and you notice that the center of the rotation went to the center of the view or the word itself. It may look complicated at the first time, but it's really very easy when you get used to it. It will help you a lot to move the stuff around. So this is the first part of the lecture today, and that will allow us to make very fast and efficient with the transform and coordinate options. So I just want to go ahead and make a very quick preview or on rotation and move stuff in the space. So for example, if I have this box over here, to move it, you have to select it. Make sure that you select the first option here, which is use pivot point center of the object. So now if I want to move it on the y-axis, I just have to hover over y-axis and move it this direction or that direction, or on z-axis in this direction. If I want to rotate it, right click and select rotate, and now you have the z-axis, the x-axis, and the y-axis. So you have these three colors, each one of those represent a different axis. And make sure that you select the center pivot point, which is the center of the object. Okay, so what if I want to move or rotate the object based on the numbers? Like I have to move it within, you know, exactly a distance like 100 feet, 50 feet, or whatever. So to be able to do this, you select move and then right click on the select and move. When you right click, there is a window that shows up like this that will help you to move on X or Y or Z axis based on the number, like 5 foot, and you hit move, it will move 5 foot from the center. If you want to move the object to the center, you have to just make this 0, 0, and that will bring that object to the center of the word or of the view. So again, you notice if I put 5 foot, hit enter, now this distance is 5 foot from the 0, 0. Sorry, I don't know why it is, something like that. And then if I want to move it within the y-axis, I put like 5 foot, and that will move it in this way. So we have 5 foot this way and 5 foot that way. Same thing with the rotation. If I go and right click on the rotation option, it will show me the option rotate, transform, type in option. So if I want to rotate the object on the x-axis, if I put like 45 and hit enter, you notice it will rotate it 45 degree on the x-axis. Same thing with the y-axis, and same thing with the z-axis here. So that will make it very easy and more accurate for us to know how to rotate stuff based on their own center point. Okay, that makes sense? Okay, that's why I went back to the transform options, because I want to show you guys how that will work with the coordinate option that we talked about it in the beginning. So these two things, it's very important to move the object, copy them, save a lot of time and effort. So these little information, it's really very helpful. So let's go back and talk about something else, which is the statistic in a viewport. What we meant when we said statistic, when you create a box or an object inside the viewport, you really want to know how much vertices and how much faces, how much polygon you have. So it's really very important to know that, and to be able to know how many polygon you have in the scene, you have to go to views and then viewport configuration, and that will allow you to select what you want to see as a statistic in the viewport. For example, if you just want to see the polygon count, the number of the polygon and the vertex and the frames per second, we don't need a frame per second, but we need just the polygon count. Do you want to see just the total of the whole object, or even selection and total, or just selection? So I prefer to go with total and selection, and then you have to check show statistic in active view and hit apply. Now what you're gonna see here, you see polygons 36. This is the total of the 3 boxes here, and the box number 3, which is this one, the selection one, it gives me a 12. Okay, so this is give me more information about each object. If I want to go lower down or make it has more smoothness or whatever, so I can go ahead and even I want to see the vertex and I hit apply, and now you see even the number of how much vertices you have in the scene. Same thing with the edges. If you want to see it, just check that and hit apply and hit OK. Now that will allow you to see 3 information in total. Like this is tell me the total of the polygons, the edges, and the vertices. The reason why we need this, for example, if I just delete those guys and I go with the sphere, okay, and I just want to see the faces or the edges, I hit F4. That will bring the edges mode to the viewport. Now notice the polygons is 960. Do I need all of this number? Because in the sphere mode you need make it like you need it smooth, right? So you want to add the segment. So if I add more segments, you notice the polygon right now is 4,000 something, and this is not something you want to do, because that will make your scene very heavy, and even it would take more time to render. So try to be very careful when you add those segments in a way that will make your sphere look smooth in the rendering or in a viewport, but at the same time give you the less number of the polygons as well. So as you can notice here, from 4,000 we went down to 840. This is really good, good balance for make things work pretty well. Because if you have a lot of those 3D objects and then you just don't want to the scene go over like million polygon or whatever, and that will take a lot of time to render. So the next thing we want to talk about is the modifiers and transformers. We already talked about the transformers, and now we will just talk about the modifiers. What are the modifiers? So if you have any object like box or sphere or cylinder, there is a couple of commands that you can apply on top of those objects that will give us an ability to change their shape or their behavior. For example, this is the box, so I'll go ahead and just add more segments, and then to choose or to select the modifier, you have to go from the object or from create menu to modify menu in here, and then from the drop menu you select, for example, bend. So as you notice, the first command was creating the box, and then the second one was the bend, and now by increasing the amount of bend and the angle, that will allow me to bend that box. So this is just very quick video to show you what we meant about the modifier, and hopefully we will go through the next lecture and show you more modifier, and talk about more modifier. And this is really a good opportunity to talk more about those kind of commands that allow you to do a lot of things. So thank you so much for watching us, and let's meet with another episode talking about those things. Thank you.